Hello there. This is Mark Smith with Family Tree Counseling Associates. Have an interesting video for you today. Narcissistic monsters with human faces. For years, as a therapist and as a man, I have to confess to you that I had what Sam Beckman calls pathological naivety. Pathologically naive. That my paradigm was you're either codependent or you're counterdependent, and everybody just has their inner children, and the world is such a safe place, and people might do bad things, but God bless them, their wounded inner child caused them to do it, and stop looking for the boogeyman. That was my paradigm, and oh my God, it was so wrong. There are narcissistic monsters out there with human faces. The woman who, I don't know her name, but the woman who wrote the book, The Sociopath Next Door, she said if you count borderlines, narcissists, histrionic, antisocial, it brings the total to about 15% of the population. And that is a really frightening statistic. So many of you have a hunger for knowledge. And when you have narcissistic abuse syndrome and you're recovering from it, the truth is you cannot learn enough about narcissism and narcissistic abuse. So I got to tell you folks, I'm that way. And what I do for fun is sit around and watch Sam Beckman on YouTube. And it's hard because if you guys have watched him, Sam Beckman is, I believe, the world's foremost authority on narcissism by a lot. The guy's brilliant. He doesn't have a lot of bedside manner. He doesn't smile. He rarely blinks. He doesn't say goodbye. He just puts the information out there on his videos that is deep, complex, intellectual, and startling. And it resonates with you when you hear it. Sam Beckman, if you haven't been watching him, don't watch me, watch him. What I am is somebody who has recently gone through a really bad experience of narcissistic abuse. And so my pain is fresh, and I can tell you what narcissistic abuse syndrome is as good as anybody, because I just went through it and I got all the symptoms to elaborate upon. But if you want to know about narcissism, Sam Beckman, V-A-K-N-I-N, he the man. So I don't know if anybody has that Chromecast thing. You walk in a room with a TV, you turn on a YouTube video on your phone, and it casts it on a big screen. My son got me one for Christmas, and I bought 2 more, and I'm going to get another one because it gives you access to YouTube videos in a very comfortable way that you're not having to look at your little phone to watch videos or your iPad. You can watch it on a big screen within seconds. Cool stuff. Problem being, I turned on one for myself, and I had a blemish right here, and my head was like 8 foot tall on the screen with this big blemish. I got to sit further back. So, my vision of the world was pathologically naive, because I thought, the world's a pretty safe place. It's filled with good, well-intentioned people. And the truth is that as many as 15% of the population probably fits under the cluster B disorders: borderline personality, narcissistic personality disorder, antisocial, and histrionic. 15%. So there are a lot of people out there who are wolves hiding in sheep's clothing. I did not know that. I found that out. So I'm not suggesting that you go through life paranoid, but you need to go through life careful. If you don't go through life careful, you will get punched in the face. And it could be so damaging as to kill you psychologically and physically. I don't know if anybody reads Mary Higgins Clark's novels, but her novels are always settled around a psychopath. There's always somebody who appears normal and nice, and you just find out that they're just like evil, murdering, sick people. I don't know what happened in that woman's life, but her world is a little too dark. It's suspenseful, it's interesting, but the bad guy in her books are always the worst kind of psychopath. So Sam Beckman says that there is an avalanche of narcissism in our culture. And I am finding out that that is the truth. For 3-4 years, Family Tree Counseling has had a channel on YouTube, and I thought we were doing pretty good until I started talking about Narcissistic Abuse Syndrome. When I started that about 6 weeks ago, really about less than 4 weeks ago, our subscriptions have gone up 122%. Generally, when I would make a video, I would get 2 comments every 3 years. And with this one, in less than 4 weeks, there's been 200 comments. The minutes people are watching our videos are up 85%. The videos and playlists is up 208%. Is this because I'm brilliant? Not so much. This is because of the subject matter. People are dying out there for good information about narcissistic abuse syndrome, and I want to do my part in sort of ringing the bell and saying, if you had this cluster of symptoms that I talked about in the video, the 50 symptoms of narcissistic abuse syndrome, this is real. You went through something that millions of other people have gone through, and there are narcissistic monsters with human faces. And I want to talk more about that. So when you're naive, pathologically so, you're surrounded by narcissists and you don't know it. You're surrounded by predators and psychopaths and you don't know it. I've gone to church recently and met a couple people, and the alarm bells go off right away now. This person has an agenda. They're not who you think they are. There's some darkness inside of them. In my current caseload, I'm able to notice the narcissist immediately. And I look back and I feel sad that for many years I tried to rescue and help narcissists and probably was used as a flying monkey with somebody who was being abused by the narcissist. And it was just a lack of knowledge on my part, and I'm so sorry for that. Sam Beckman says that narcissists are not emotionally human. They're not human emotionally. He said that on dating sites, when you're age 40 to 50, the dating sites, almost everybody on there is a narcissist or a predator or an abuser. If you're single and you're in your 40s and 50s, please stay off the dating sites. Get involved in life, get involved in a church, an organization, a club, work, whatever. Develop a circle of friends and have a friend refer you to a friend who refers you to a friend. I am so sorry. I'm going to get me a cough drop out here. So, but when you stay with the dating sites, what happens is you are going to be taken advantage of. And he says when you're 20 and you're at college, then it's the normal ratio of predators and psychopaths, and those odds are bad enough. You know, it might be as high as 15%, but you get to 40 and 50, and predators know that lonely, needy, naive people are getting on the websites looking for love. They will figure out who you want them to be, and they'll act that way, and they can do it for years. So be very careful. Don't get on a dating site. Cancel your subscriptions to Match.com. It's psychopath.com. Cancel your subscriptions even to eHarmony. It's not safe. So, what happens with narcissistic people and psychopaths is they have a mask that they wear, and there's a person underneath the mask. Sam Beckman says that the distinct difference from the real person to the person who's acting like you want, they're acting like you want them to act, to meet your fantasies or meet your needs. The difference between those two people, it's almost like multiple personality disorder. It's that distinct. That's what confused me in my situation starting April 26th of this year. A whole nother person emerged from behind the mask. It's like she acted like I wanted her to act, a country girl with a heart of gold. But then really it was starting about March, a whole nother person came out. She talked differently. She held her body differently. She was a whole nother human being hiding behind this mask for 6.5 years. Honestly, I thought it was multiple personality disorder because I could tell there was another person in there. And I didn't believe that somebody could hide inside their body in a relationship for 6.5 years, but they absolutely, positively can. So, the reason we don't see the person behind the mask is we don't want to see it. I had many opportunities in 6.5 years to detect that this person is dangerous, but I kept believing in the fantasy. I kept projecting onto her that she was this nice, sweet, codependent girl, and she was a sinister, vicious user who did not love me, who was not capable of love. So if you don't want to know the truth because you're addicted to who you think that person is, and on your end, I mean, you are in love with a fantasy. You are in love with this person who really doesn't exist, but God, it seems real. It seems so genuine and so real that when you find out it's not real, that's the pain, that's the shock, that's the wound, because it seems like somebody who was real, who really loved you, all of a sudden betrayed you in the most horrific and vicious way possible, and they've surrounded a whole treatment team and family of flying monkeys who do their bidding, and they are all about mind fucking you nearly to death. And it's such a shock if Sam Beckman says you can spot a narcissist immediately. You know, there's some very consistent traits, and look to his videos for those, and I'll make a video down the road. But you don't want to see it. That's why you don't see it. This woman spelled it out for me. I'm having sex with this guy in so many words. I didn't want to know. The little needy little boy who didn't want to be abandoned by his mommy, he didn't want to know. So he just, tucked it away. So I want to share a couple of comments that I thought were real poignant here that I've gotten recently. The cool thing about narcissistic abuse syndrome recovery and thriving is that somebody will make a comment on a YouTube video, and then somebody will encourage the person who made the comment, and then somebody else will jump in, and it's a wonderful, caring, supportive community that is just awesome. So here's some things. This is from BG. She wrote, "Thank you for sharing so deeply. It matters. They may not be the devil, these narcissists, but very nearly." And that's what I'm saying. These people aren't the devil incarnate. They're pretty close. SB wrote, "To finally hear somebody describe my suffering in this manner has brought me to healing tears." So this video, my message isn't so much, hey, there's narcissists out there. I mean, that's what I'm focusing on today, but the overall message I'm trying to tell you is there's a syndrome. There's a disease. There's something that millions of other people have. It's called Narcissistic Abuse Syndrome. Don't focus so much on the narcissist. Focus on what you've got. You got terrorized and traumatized by the narcissist, and now you have a whole cluster of symptoms that is basically complex PTSD. And if you really get to know that, it just pulls everything together. It's so helpful. I get nasty comments as well sometimes. A fellow wrote, "So you got scammed by a narc that bad, and now you want us to give you money so that you can be our counselor?" I took this guy off his comments off the site. But I wanted to address that a little bit, and that is, the people that have been the most help to me aren't big-time super therapists who have had tons and tons of training. The people that have helped me are just people who've gone through bad shit. People that have been abused by a narcissist. In Sam Beckman's case, he's a recovering narcissist himself. He doesn't hide that fact, and nor should he. There's nothing to be ashamed of. But some of the people that have been the most helpful, they're not putting their PhD out there like it means anything. So who do you want as a therapist? You want somebody who's gone through it. That's what qualifies them, because they get it. I've been looking in Indianapolis for a new therapist for myself, and nobody advertises under narcissistic abuse syndrome. So I'm still searching for somebody who really has a clue about that. Okay, the next comment. Sometimes all the knowledge we have can't protect us from predation. I liken it to a deer and a deer hunter. The hunter is good at being the hunter. That is their nature. There will always be good hunters. Deer are beautiful, graceful, vulnerable creatures. We can't change that nature, nor should we be. However, we can become better at being deer. And I think what they meant was being careful, not getting shot, not getting hunted down. So I spoke with an author who wrote a book on narcissistic abuse, about being manipulated by narcissists. Abby Ellen wrote an article this June in Psychology Today, and she quoted several experts that said the more knowledgeable you are, it actually can work against you, because if you think that you have the world figured out and that you have the answers and that you can't be hurt and you can't be used, then you are actually at your most vulnerable. So what we're shooting for is viewing the world realistically, interacting with people with authenticity and congruency, not being paranoid, certainly not playing the role of a victim. Folks, I empathize with you so much who've gone through this. But what will take a lot of the venom out of the pain is to understand that your stuff from your childhood is what made you vulnerable. You were vulnerable because you have some wounds, and there was a parent who was a monster as well. And you have some unresolved issues with that parent. So when a monster came along hiding behind a mask, you were unaware. And just know that the world is fair. The world is fair. There are reasons why this happened to you. And I don't want to downplay the monstrousness of the monster. They are not human. They are scary. And if you're in a relationship with one, run. It don't pay to stay. But it's also true that we are the captains of our ship, and nobody can break into our house without us having some weaknesses in our security system. So thank you for watching today. If you haven't joined our YouTube channel, it's Family Tree Counseling, and subscribe. And also I have 5 books about abandonment and shame and affair recovery that you can get both on Amazon.com, but you can also get it at FamilyTreeCounseling.com. The book on abandonment, I think everyone who has a relationship or has been through narcissistic abuse should read that book. Also, I have some longer 2-hour extended videos that really go into further depth that are available that you can buy from FamilyTreeCounseling.com. Be careful, people. Be careful out there. Don't be paranoid. But there are scary people looking to take your lunch. God bless.